Hello, welcome to all CBTs today. My name is David, and in today's special curated tutorial, we'll be taking NABTEB Literature. Now, these are top likely questions that you should encounter in your literature exam for this year. So make sure you master it properly as you get yourself ready for your NABTEB exam. Now, I've taken from the various categories of the NABTEB testing or NABTEB assessment. I've taken the top 30 questions. So we're going to look at them section by section. If you are yet to be subscribed to the channel, I think you should do so now because we're going to make updates to these questions. Aside that, we have other subjects that you can always come back to watch on the channel as you prepare yourself to ace your exam in one sitting. Now let's get into the questions proper. Let's see this instruction. Answer all questions. Choose the option A to D that best completes each statement or answers the question. These questions reflect the style and rigor of NABTEB Literature in English examinations. Now you will see instructions in each section in your NABTEB exam, obviously. So this is just one that looks like such an instruction. Make sure you always pay attention to instructions because they can make or mar your performance in that particular category or even in the exam as a whole. Now let's go to question 1. Now we are under the general literary category now, and this is one of the questions we have there. It says a figure of speech in which an inanimate object is given human qualities is called dash. What is that figure of speech that an inanimate object possesses human quality or human quality is attributed to inanimate objects? That figure of speech is a personification. That's personification. In personification, we attribute human qualities to non-human objects. Okay, you can hear something like the sun was smiling or the smiling sun. You can hear something, you can hear a phrase like or a sentence as the trees clap their hands. Get that now? So when you see such a phrase or such a statement or such a sentence, it's simply personification. Now question 2. A sonnet is best described as dash. A sonnet is best described as dash. This one is simple. A sonnet is a 14-line poem. Okay, that's what a sonnet is. Brief, concise, and on point. So it's a 14-line poem. Question 3. The central character in a play or novel is known as dash. Okay, so most play or probably every play will have a central character. It's like when you watch a movie, you see you would know from the first maybe 15 minutes, you will know that this is the actor in this movie and this is the boss, right? So most movies we have boss or boss, as some people call it, and the actor. So the boss often is the main character. The boss don't die, as it's often said in the Nigerian system in movies. So that boss or that main character is called what? And the correct option here, you have antagonist, protagonist, narrator, or foil. The correct option for that is protagonist. So the main character is the protagonist. The opposing character is the what? Antagonist, right? Good. Question 4. Which of these is not a dramatic device? Now we have dramatic devices. They help to make our writing or our poem or our tone, okay, to give it meaning. So we have aside, it's a grammatic device. We have soliloquy. You must have seen it in several literature, or several poets, or several readings, okay. That introductory text that is often in italics before you begin the story. You will see something like Bimpe was soliloquizing to herself. Soliloquy. So it's a dramatic device. And then you have chorus, also a dramatic device. But you have metaphor, which does not belong here. Why so? Because metaphor is a figure of speech. It's not a dramatic device. It's a figure of speech. Question 5 now. The use of exaggeration for emphasis in literature is known as dash. Exaggeration. The use of exaggeration for emphasis in literature is known as that. For example, you see something like as tall as an Iroko tree. Nobody can be as tall as an Iroko tree, right? Or as big as a mountain, something like that. All right. So the use of exaggeration is wherever you see exaggeration in a statement, it's just showing the play of hyperbole. So hyperbole is the use of exaggeration in a particular statement or sentence. All right, so we'll go to the next category from question 6. And this next category is unseen prose. What is an unseen prose? An unseen prose is simply a prose that you've not rehearsed. Okay, you just met that prose for the first time in the examination hall. You had no idea of the prose. You've not seen it in past questions. You were not told that you'll be examined on this particular prose. It doesn't have to be prose. Okay, it can be drama, it can be writing, it can be poem, but in this case, it's a prose. So that's simply what unseen means. So read the passage below and answer question 6 to 10. Remember, I told you of instructions. So make sure you always note instructions before you begin to attempt the question. So let's read the passage now. It says, please return to the passage. It says, Ngozi walked quickly down the deserted street. Her bag clutched tightly. She knew she had to deliver the message before dawn. Each step echoed louder than the last, and with every heartbeat came the fear of being discovered. In her mind, betrayal carried a price steeper than death. Okay, now this is a prose. Should we take it again? Ngozi walked quickly down the deserted street. Her bag clutched tightly is an imaginary prose. She knew she had to deliver the message before dawn, that's before the breaking of the day. Each step echoed louder than the last, and with every heartbeat came the fear of being discovered. So this tells you that this would be something like in the middle of the night, in the dark of the night. Okay, and she was sneaking. In her mind, betrayal carried a price steeper than death. This is a figure of speech right here. Okay, let's see the questions 6 to 10 now. The mood of the passage is best described as dash. You have cheerful. Is it cheerful? Is it exciting? Is it elated? No. We actually see Ngozi tiptoeing, scared for her life, very scared. Okay. Is it suspenseful? Yes, it's suspenseful because we are not given the full picture. We just know that something is not right, and Ngozi is on her way to doing something. We don't know what the next thing is until we get there, right? So it's suspenseful. It's neither indifferent, it's neither joyful. She's not joyful, definitely. So this would be the correct option, B. Then 7. We have the main theme of the passage is what? And we saw that in the concluding sentence. The main theme of the passage is what? Betrayal. It says, in our mind, betrayal is worse than death. So it's a theme, it's a passage on betrayal. Question 8 now. The phrase betrayal carried its price steeper than death is an example of what? Betrayal carried a price steeper than death. Now this is a figure of speech. Why so? Because betrayal cannot carry a price steeper than death. Death is actually the ultimate. In other words, when a person dies, betrayal means nothing when somebody is dead, right? So for us to see this writing, betrayal carry a price steeper than death, shows that this is a figure of speech. And what figure of speech is this? Is it simile? No. Is it hyperbole? No, it's not exaggerating. Is it a paradox? Yes. It's not personification. It doesn't carry human qualities. So it's a paradox. Okay, because it's actually a paradox because it's a paradoxical statement. Because betrayal cannot be steeper, cannot be costlier than death. So it's a paradox. It's a paradoxical statement. Question 9. The narrative technique used is dash from that writing or from that reading. The narrative technique used is what? Let's go and see the writing again so that we can pick the narrative technique used. So you need to read the writing again if you want to get the technique. It says, Ngozi walked quickly down the deserted street, her bag clutched tightly. No, probably she was using this side bag, right? She knew she had to deliver the message before dawn. There was something important, probably in that bag, she was supposed to deliver. Each step echoed louder than the last, and with every heartbeat came the fear of being discovered. In her mind, betrayal carried a price steeper than death. So, what's the person? What's the narrative person here? Let's see that question again, question 9. It says the narrative technique here is what? Because we see she there, we see Ngozi and we see she there. Ngozi described as she. It's a third person. Okay, so the narrative technique here is in the third person. Question 10. And yes, question 10. The dominant conflict in the passage is what? The dominant conflict in the passage is what? Internal. She's having internal conflict in herself. Betrayal is internal, right? She's combating things in herself. Persons may meet her and don't even know that she's going through anything, yeah, as she's walking through that pathway. But the fight, the conflict is within herself. So that's internal. Moving on, question number 11. Okay, with that we come to the end of unseen prose, and we are moving to the next section. Like I said, I'm attempting several sections, okay, that you will be tested or you'll be tested through in the NABTEB Literature in English exam, so that you will be conversant with the way these questions appear, right? So this time we have unseen poem, right? So read the poem below and answer question 11 to 15. The drums of war resound pain. It should be pain. The drums of war resound pain. The villagers trembles, the mothers weep. Heroes march with broken chains, promising freedom they must keep. Interesting. So this is a poem, right? Also like a sad poem, not just a sad poem, because we see pain, we see weep, we see chains, talking about bondage. We see freedom, talking about liberty. All right. So let's go to the questions now. Questions 11. The rhyme scheme of the poem is what? You have A, 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 B, A, A, B, B, A, B, A, A, B, B, A, B, C, D. Let's look at the rhyme scheme now. So you have the drums of war resound pain. This should be pain. So the concluding sound here is ain, ain. Okay. Then you have the village trembles, the mothers weep. The concluding sound here is what? E, E, or eep. Right? You have heroes march with broken chains. Here again, you see ain, ain, ain. We see the sound that we see in pain. We see it in chain. Right? Okay? Promising freedom they must keep. Oh, wow. We see the sound that we see in whip. We see it in keep. So the same sound here in pain is in chain. The same sound in whip is in keep. So we can group these two together, and we can group these two together. So if we group line 1 and line 3 together, we can call line 1 and line 3 A. Okay, and we can call line 2 and line 4 B. So if I want to do this, I'll say AB, AB. Right? So this is AB, AB. So let's see the option now. Yes, so option A. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, A, B. Question 12 now. The imagery of drums of war appeals to the sense of what? Now, the imagery of drums of war. You hear drums of war. What did you see? First of all, you can see imagery here. Imagery is talking about your sight. It connects with your sight. As you read that poem, there's a kind of an imagination, a kind of image that plays in your mind. So what part of your sense is in play when you read this? The imagery of drums of war is your sight. Okay, your sight. You see it in your sight. It's not your hearing because you don't hear any sound actually. So the sense that comes in play is your sight. You can almost see that drums of war. You can almost see someone beating it as you read that line of the poem. Question 13 now. The theme of the poem is words. Like I stated when after reading the poem is basically about freedom. Yeah, and we saw it in about the line 3 and line 4. It's basically about freedom. Question 14. The dominant literary device in broken chains is what? The dominant literal device in broken chains is what? Okay, let's go to the poem again so that we can understand it very well. That's okay. The drums of war resound pain. The village trembles, the mothers weep. Heroes march in broken chains, promising freedom they must keep. Heroes march with broken chains. This is where the question is taken from. Heroes march with broken chains. Broken chains means what? Means freedom. Okay, the chain was there. The chains were there. Their hands, probably on their feet too. Now the chains are broken. All right. Let me take your mind away from here. Have you ever seen the flyers or billboard of a church program? Maybe a church program that has to do with deliverance. You will see on that flyer, you will see the hands of a man most times, or a woman, and then you see chains on both hands, and then you see that the chains were broken, right? And they are using this flyer to advertise their deliverance program that is coming. So they will put the picture of a man that has chains on his hands, and then you see the chains broken. Yeah. So in this case also, heroes march with broken chains. Simply lets us know that this is a symbolism of freedom. Yeah. So good. So let's go to the question again. So that's question 14. So the dominant literary device in broken chains is symbolism. Is symbolism for freedom. For freedom. 15 now. The attitude of the poet towards the heroes is what? Okay, as you read the poem, what attitude do you have? Let's even forget about the poet now. You yourself, as you read the poem, what attitude do you have towards the heroes that were mentioned in line 4? That attitude is what? Admiration. I have admiration for them because I could see that they were in struggle, they were in bondage, but yet they were able to break the chains of bondage, bringing them into freedom. So I salute them, salute their bravery and their courage. Okay, so that's admiration right there. And then question number 16. Okay, with that we come to the close for section for the unseen poem section. Now remember I said the unseen poem just simply means you have not been given the poem to study before the exam. You're actually probably meeting it for the first time in the exam hall. That's why it's called an unseen poem or unseen prose, whatever the case might be. Now, if you've watched this video up until this time, it tells that or it shows that you like the video, you are enjoying the content so far. I think a way to show that the content is good is by smashing the like button, okay, because that suggests to the YouTube algorithm that the content is good enough to be pushed to a wider audience. Good. Now let's go to the next section, which is African drama. Question 16. In Wole Soyinka's The Trial of Brother Jero, The Trials of Brother Jero, the protagonist, or the main character, is a what? Okay, so this is the writing by Wole Soyinka, The Trials of Brother Jero. The main character or the protagonist is a what? Yes, he was actually a trickster in that piece of literature. He was a trickster. So the story is about this religious leader, clergyman, as you like, who fake as a religious leader, but actually he was tricking people using devices. Yes, he wasn't a true person. So he was tricking people and making merchandise of them. So he's actually a trickster. 17. A dominant dramatic technique in African plays is what? Okay, look at option A to D. Which one would you always or almost always or often see in African play? Is it miming? No, we don't see miming. Is it dance and song? Yes, we see cultural things a lot. You see, you see dance and song a lot in African play. Is it monologue or chorus? It's dance and song. Dance and song is often in African play. Another literature type that you see dance and song is in Indian plays also. Bollywoods and Indian writings, they also incorporate a lot of dance and song. Question 18. In The Gods Are Not to Be Blamed, Odewale's tragedy is caused by what? The gods are not to be blamed. Odewale's tragedy is caused by faith from that particular book. Yes. So that one is caused by faith. They actually said that is his destiny. Okay. Alright. So 19. In Macbeth, the witches symbolizes also faith. This question to this is also faith. Alright, so 20. If you want to know more on this, you can go get the book or check for the summary of the book online and read in depth to understand that. Okay, in 20, the quality of mercy is not stained is a famous line from the Merchant of Venice. The quality of mercy is not strained. It's a famous line. It's a line in that book, The Merchant of Venice. You can also go download the book and read more on that. 21. In Romeo and Juliet, the main cause of the lovers' death is feud, not between both of them, but between their families. Okay, so you can also read more on this in the book. And then 22. A common device in African poetry is the use of, is it heroic couplet? No, heroic couplet was actually an Augustan poet that used heroic couplet. Then what will it be then? Is it paradox only? Haiku? No, it's proverbs and imagery. In African poets, you would see a lot of proverbs and imagery. Yes, you see it in Igbo poets, you see it in Yoruba writers. Good. 23. Okay, so with that, we go to non-African poetry. Death Be Not Proud by John Donne personifies death as what? Now, John Donne, a religious author, okay, wrote that book, and this is a line in the book, Death Be Not Proud. And so he was trying to describe death as weak. Okay, it's a religious book, like I said, talking about life after death, that eternal life, which is life after death, supersedes death. So because a lot of people are really scared about death, especially traditional people. So the writer tried to, bring to light the fact that death is actually weak. Once somebody dies, it's over. But eternal life weighs more, right? So he personified death as being weak or as weak. 24 now. In The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Okay, this is the writer, Robert Frost. The title of the writing is The Road Not Taken. The central theme is, what is the book about? Simply about choices and consequence. So the book simply was talking about that, was stating that every choice you take or you make has a consequence. Good or bad choice has a consequence. So that, just drawing our attention to it, that we should be careful of our choices, because either you make good choices, it has consequence, and that consequence, you don't have an option. You must bear the consequence of your action. Okay. All right, 25. Alexander Pope's use of heroic couplets reflect the, okay, we saw something like this before. So Alexander Pope was uh, um, an 18th century writer, okay, an Augustan writer, and he used heroic couplet a lot, which is from the 18th century. In fact, he made heroic couplet to be really popular during the 18th century, and he was known a lot for it. 26 now. Okay, now general question. So we are done with non-African. We're now into some few general questions we're going to take. Which of these is a narrative poem? You have epic, ode, elegy, lullaby, and the correct option is epic. Epic is a narrative poem, often like stories of gods, stories of heroes, stories of gods and their relationship with men. Yeah, so it's epic. It's a narrative story, maybe story of like Shango and Oya. Some of those stories we read in secondary school. 27 now. The repetition of vowel sounds in a line of poetry is called what? Now, the repetition of, before I answer this, the repetition of consonant sounds in a line of poetry is called alliteration, right? But then the repetition of vowel sounds in a line of poetry is called assonance. Okay, so that's the truth. Don't forget that. If it's in consonant sound, it's alliteration. If it's in vowel sound, it is assonance. Good. 28. The conclusion of a Shakespearean sonnet often comes in the couplets. Yes. The conclusion of a Shakespearean sonnet often comes in the couplet, and the couplet is often in the fourth line. So Shakespeare often followed 3 to 1 line. The couplet will often be in the fourth line, okay, after the first 3 lines. 29. A play written to ridicule human folly through humor is called a what? Yes, it's a play that is often used to ridicule human folly. It's called a satire. So it's used to ridicule human folly. It's a play on human insufficiency, human fallibility. So it also carries humor in those kinds of play. They are called satire. All these other ones too are kinds of plays like tragedy, comedy, right? But satire is a special kind of play that brings in humor and uses humor to express human folly or human insufficiency. And then the last question for this literature in English exam prep is the tragic flaw of Othello in Shakespeare play is based on what, or is due to what? Jealousy. Now, Shakespeare wrote this play, Othello. So, and Othello killed his wife and killed himself due to jealousy. So, also pointing us to the fact that you've got to be careful of jealousy. Jealousy kills and jealousy destroys. So, that's the major lesson to learn from that play. All right. So, with that, we have the 30 most likely questions that you would encounter in your NABTEB Literature and English exam for this year. Make sure you're subscribed because I'll be making an update to this question just as we approach the exam so that you'll be notified by YouTube. You can come and watch as you prepare yourself to smash literature and English exam. You can also practice all of these questions on our app, which are connected to this video. You can find the link to download them in the description of this video, so you can download them on the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store and begin to practice hundreds of questions right away. I'll see you in another one.
Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the content you just watched. To see more episodes as that, preparing you for your oncoming exams, smash the subscribe button on this channel right now and visit the playlist that we've made for you, covering over 50 types of different exams, including JAMB, WAEC, Cacao,